So I'm Dimitrios Stamatis, or Dimi as the name goes by these days. I'm a senior designer in Ninjago, and I've been in Ninjago and at the LEGO Group for 9.5 years now.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Ninjago Legends campaign. So this campaign, appears to be targeted towards older fans of LEGO Ninjago. Can you elaborate on where the idea for Legends first came about?
The idea came from the reception of the Dragonstone Shrine and the Cole Titan mech, because that showed that there is an appetite for a different type of experience within the Ninjago community. So we try to see, we know that there is kids that grow up and at some point the word toy is very childish for them. So we want to keep those people engaged, or even fans who are into the LEGO aspect of it anyway, to offer something different that you cannot get from the regular toy line. So we got the good feedback from doing the Dragonstone Shrine, and then said, okay, let's see what else we can do. So we came up with the sets, and then we got the opportunity to do the shorts for what ended up being Monstrosity. So it's just another try to see how much we can expand Ninjago. We see other IPs doing it that have been around for many years. So there's no reason for Ninjago not to spread its wings and become the thing that it can actually be culturally.
Both Ninjago Legends sets are built to include like a diorama stand. Can you explain the reasoning behind that choice?
I think it's again to elevate it beyond what is perceived as a toy.
Absolutely.
I think that's the short answer, and I think it's also really nice because it adds a little bit more of the storytelling that sometimes we don't manage to get into the actual sets, because the side builds, or it can be a very small piece of terrain, while with these ones you could actually do a little bit of storytelling in the nature of the set.
Are there any kind of secrets or Easter eggs in the Guardian Dragon set that fans haven't picked up on yet?
I would say that the most interesting aspect of it is Wu, because when we came up with the idea of, I wanted to do a battle Wu for reasons, because it's just cool.
It's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there is not many opportunities to do it in a storyline that has to serve so many other characters. So why don't we do it? It fits. It's cool. It's unique. Sometimes it's just the rule of cool.
So you've designed so many sets in the past, but your most recent work is the Guardian's Dragon. Did you have any lessons that you learned with past sets that you were able to incorporate into this build?
Actually, the Guardian Dragon is unique because it is it's not a toy set, and up to that, for 8.5 years, I only did toys.
Yeah.
So it was a very strange experience for me trying to service something I hadn't done before. How refined it should be, how the aesthetic, and also internally, you have a set that is full of different shades of green. You need to justify why it's a necessity, because again, it takes away from the building experience, potentially. So it was for me a completely different ballpark that I had to service. And again, not having been an AFOL myself, I went by the feeling of, okay, what would I like in a way, more so than anything too specific.
Absolutely. So both Ninjago Legends set boxes, they have an illustrated cover art treatment. Can you go into the decision to do that rather than normal box art?
Again, we want to service a completely different aspect of the Ninjago fandom, or generally fandoms of giant mechs, dragons. So it was a try again to differentiate from the core offering, to say this is unique, this is a new thing, this is for you who feel uncomfortable having toys, it's for you who just want something different. And I think it turned out great. There's a lot of, from OLA, who is the part of the company that's responsible for packaging. Our marketing team It was an interesting exploration of what we want to do. We got ideas from other product lines that focus on display, action figures or statues, and how do they make their boxes. So it was just an overall the direction we want to touch upon. I think that was the kind of the guiding light for what ended up being some really well received, I have to say, boxes.
Yeah. In addition to the illustrated cover art, both Legend sets also include an exclusive poster that depicts the set. Do you know who created these posters or where the idea for the posters came from?
These were created by Nikolai, our concept artist, both of them. I don't remember the origin. I think it might have been his idea. I'm just not totally sure, so I might be. But it's always a collaborative effort between marketing and the design team. Like, how much more value can we offer, I would say.
Absolutely. So how does the Ninjago Legends affect the Ninjago Dragons Rising? Could you tell us like the difference between the two?
Initially, the thinking was that it would be a self-contained thing, something, non-canon or whatever. Then Doc and Kevin were very keen on doing the Kai story because, there is so much potential there. There is like an interesting timeline to do something really unique. And that's why it fell just before Dragons Rising. But it's supposed to be its own thing. Like, if you haven't seen Dragons Rising or even the Masters of Spinjitzu, it is self-contained in a way, as a short story.
Ninjago Legends Guardian Dragon set. Can you describe like any kind of inspirations you drew while you were coming up with the concept?
I was asked to do a display dragon. I don't even remember why the tranquil kind of aesthetic came up. I think it's probably from the Dragon Shrine. I have like a huge, not official list of dragons, but I've seen a lot, and I look at dragon statues and stuff for inspiration. I think it just shaped from, again, what I wanted to do, what I felt it was the most complete and clean looking thing I could make at that point.
What is the pipeline from, what comes first, chicken or the egg, the set, the show design?
So sometimes that changes, but for the most part it's always the design team comes up with the idea of what the season could be. We have the key visuals, as we call them, which is the guiding principle of the vibe we're going for and what's being tested with kids. From there we pick the favorite or the one that has the most potential. That is communicated to the writers, and especially the past few years we try to onboard them even on the initial inspiration, and so we don't contradict. What do you have in mind for the rest of Dragons Rising? This is what we have. Is it any contradiction there? Is there any synergy or something we can tweak to make it fit the story as you envision it? So after that, they start writing the story. We start creating the sets. Sometimes there's 1 or 2 months where the story starts getting written while we are still thinking of what the actual sets are gonna be. So it's a parallel stream that is a little bit off time frame, and we try always to see up to the last point where Wild Brain needs a final design so they can create their assets. We try to always feed back and try to align even as many of the details as we can. But the main thing is, does the thing that's in the show has the same vibe as the thing in product, and how those things can be like, I see it here, I see it there in a different medium, but it is the same thing. I think that's the kind of what we try to achieve with the integration of product.
Do you have anything that you'd like to say to the fans of Ninjago? It can be about Legends, it can be about the sets, it can be about you.
I wouldn't put myself out there, but I would say that if you like what we try to do, support and positivity about it is the best asset and weapon we can have in our quiver to do more stuff, because we can make a case that the fandom is there, the possibilities are there. Let us do stuff because we want to offer and grow Ninjago as much as possible.